and why.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
One Monday morning, Aluna Free Readers Association, now I shift to one side, I beg. You don't go buy paper, you don't go one let people go buy zero.
I don't tell you. You don't see him.
Bonus for life, man.
Oh boy. Hey, stop. I said stop. Go back that page. MTN 2,000% bonus.
Wow. Sure, you're not wrong.
2,000% bonus if I begin use my MTN SIM again. Oh boy, come on for road.
Yes, so if you never use your MTN SIM for the past 45 days or more, the time don't reach to come back again and enjoy Obonge Awoof. Just go recharge your SIM now and enjoy 2,000% bonus on top your first recharge of every month. Now be say if you recharge 100 naira, MTN go summer you 2,000 naira fiam. Oh yeah, Abi you still the wait? Everybody don't go reactivate their MTN SIM. What do you still the wait for? Terms and conditions they shall.
You're tuned in to the Front Page News on Classic FM 97.3.
It's Front Page News on Classic FM 97.3. Remember, you can always be a part of it. Keep your comments coming in. Send them to 33973. Tweet at Classic FM 973 with the hashtag FPN. And also post it on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Classic FM 973. Good morning, Jimmy.
Good morning, Bukola, and a very happy birthday to Bimbola Kikube, who turns 50 today. You remember Bimbo is the architect who designed that famous bed of mine.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Bimbo.
All right, let's start. The headlines from The Nation says, Governor, we've got attack threat. Osinbajo panel to meet Miyetti Allah, others. Buhari to youths. Watch character of aspirants. Obasanjo steps up attack on government. Group ex-president stole our idea. Senate news push for Mago's ouster. From the Vanguard, Taraba will be attacked in 10 days. Governor cries out. Security more important than getting re-elected in 2019, says Okoje. Motorist commuters groan as mixed reactions trail Lekki toll hike. Sack Magu now, Senate tells Buhari has caught back senators' action. Obasanjo launches, CNM dissociates self from other movements. Niger plan joint refinery to sign agreement soon. Nigerian prisons convert humans to animals, says Osinbajo. And we have this from the Tribune. Some people making money from killings by herdsmen. Zamfara governor. 13 states still owe teachers salaries. NUT threatens strike. Reps demand names of Nigerians unlawfully detained by police. And 500 financial crime cases pending in Lagos courts, says Chief Justice. And we start with this editorial in detail. Wrongly accused. When 37-year-old Ajayi Adetola was in December 27 discharged and acquitted by the Lagos High Court in Ikeja after 5 years of suffering for a crime he didn't commit. It gave further insight into unacceptable failings of the country's criminal justice system.
Thank you very much, Wiki. We're deliberately starting with this editorial to prick our conscience and also to alert us to what could befall an average Nigerian in this country. I just wanted to sit back and I'll quickly go through the story. Now, the report, how Adetola got into the mess is an intriguing story. This is the story of 37-year-old Ajayi Adetola, who was in December 2017 discharged and acquitted by the Lagos High Court in Ikeja after 5 years of suffering for a crime he didn't commit. Okay, so how did he get into this? A report. The SARS operatives had in 2012 arrested one Rashidi Sikiru, who was Adetola's acquaintance. Sikiru was arrested for stealing a vehicle, but during his interrogation in police custody, due to the torture and enormous pressure mounted on him to give them a name, Sikiru mentioned Adetola as an accomplice, and this led to his arrest. Now, he was put on trial, and in the course of the case, Sikiru confessed that Adetola was innocent, had nothing to do with it. He was innocent of all the charges, and he was never involved in the robbery. He now said to the court that he had mentioned Adetola's name when he could no longer withstand the torture by the SARS operatives. This confession unlocked Adetola's case, and according to the report, the case dragged for about 5 years. But when Sikiru testified in the court, that he had lied against Adetola, the presiding judge, Justice Kudirat Jose, acquitted and discharged Adetola while Isikiru was sentenced to 4 years imprisonment. Now, this is the story that the Nation writes an editorial on. Man's inhumanity to man. There are so many things you want to look at here. In the first instance, Sikuru said that he was tortured. Right? Now, are the police SARS, are they allowed under the law to torture innocent citizens or suspects, for that matter? That the lawyers will sort that out for us. Secondly, what kind of a system do we run that makes an innocent man spend 5 years in Kirikiri for a crime he practically knew nothing about? I mean, it's like, God forbid that you're charged and the name that comes to you is Jimi Disu, and then for the next 5 years. That is what we're contending with here. And the Nation says that clearly the country's criminal justice system needs reforms. The problems that demand urgent attention include flawed investigation, abuse of rights of accused persons and convicts, overburdened courts, delayed trials and prolonged trials, inadequate prisons with inadequate conditions. But Adetola tells us a bit of his story. Sorry, Buki, I'll soon finish. I'll round up now. Adetola tells of his story, the 5 years in prison. He said for the 5 years he was in prison. Now remember, this is for he's not a confirmed prisoner. He's still undergoing trial, and he says that for every day we ate beans in the morning and gari in the afternoon and night. That was what I ate for about 5 years. It was only people who had relatives that could bring food for them and ate something better. The rest of us ate whatever they gave to us. But some of us that could not survive with short meals were struck with different kinds of illnesses, and some died in the process. This morning, I bring Adetola's story to our leaders to prick your conscience. Do something about justice reforms in this country. And remember, what goes round sometimes might just jolly well come round.
I think the vice president who was talking about, there's a headline about the vice president saying the Nigerian prisons convert human beings to animals. So I think this is another thing we need to...
Yes, but if he said that, what are they going to do about, what are they going to do about prison reforms? It is vital. Prisons are supposed to reform persons, not to condemn them not to condemn them completely. You understand what I'm saying? You're supposed to reform. You're supposed to come out of prisons and be able to start a new life. But you can't do that with what we have here. But in any case, like Majek Fashek says, all of us are prisoners of conscience. All
right. There's a plan to attack Taraba in 10 days, says Governor. The Governor of Taraba State, Mr. Darius Ishaku, has said there is a plan to attack the state in the next 10 days. The governor also said the information had been passed to security agencies, adding that he was not aware that any action had been taken.
Well, this really is an update, on this herdsmen crisis, and the governor of Taraba has raised an alarm now that as at yesterday, counting now will be now 9 days, that there's a plan to attack Taraba. And somebody in the story comments here that usually when the Fulani say they are going to do something, they will jolly well go ahead and do it. Meanwhile, other developments are that Oshibajo panel forms committee to meet Miyetti Allah. Let me read the story here. It says, the Vice President Jimi Oshibajo committee has set up a subcommittee to interface with members of the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria and other groups with a view to ending the killings of the herdsmen. But meanwhile, 7 killed, others injured in Kaduna attack. That's another one. And also 5 missing in Nasarawa village. And then the Southwest group has warned of famine. Let me see what it says here. It says, a socio-political organization of professionals in the Southwest states under the aegis of Southwest think tank on Thursday said there was famine looming in Nigeria. The group said the destruction of farmlands and the fear of farmers to plant due to activities of Fulani herdsmen could cause the famine. And the Inspector General has warned. They've warned state governments and they've warned state governments and command commissioners of police against arming militia and vigilance groups. I think there's some report that some governors are quietly, youth and whatever to provide. But you see, I don't justify that. Nobody can justify that. But if the federal government itself is not living up to its responsibility in total, surely the people must defend themselves. So whilst the Inspector General is, bringing out that warning, fair enough, I have no problem with it. He needs to tell his bosses back there that they should jolly well do the needful. Very vital. They should jolly well do the needful.
Oluwakade says our criminal justice system is an eyesore when compared to other crimes. Too many poorly investigated trials. Fine William says we're living in a jungle, Nigeria. What a justice system we run. Chooks up here. Our criminal justice system is messed up. How does a person under a trial spend 5 years in prison and the criminal involved end up getting a 4-year sentence? It is messed up. And Shay William says the worry state of our country, there are still a lot of Atitola out there. Is there any justice in this world? We take this next headline. Buhari ignored federal character in security chief's appointment, says Obasanjo. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has berated the National Assembly and the Federal Character Commission for failing to check the excesses of the President Muhammadu Buhari in the uneven distribution of public offices. I agree with him. The lopsided nature of the appointment is very, very worrying. What is more worrying is that as we speak, nothing has still been done. Neither do we see any real intention on the part of the president to rectify these anomalies, that exist in making these appointments. And Obasanjo yesterday, he brought out a statement on this new group that came about. Somewhere along the line, he said that if the group if it does transform into a full political party, that he will bow out of it. I think people are, all this is a kind of PR game. The truth of the matter is that a third party has emerged. Obasanjo is involved in it, and from the statement down to the launching of the party and so on and so, or the launching of the group and so on and so forth was all predetermined. Practically, what we're looking at is Nigerians have a third major option come 2019, and that is if they're able to get their act together and get their party registered before the elections. In fact, time is not on their side, if you ask me. It's going to be a rush and contrived thing. You're going to have a group of people who do not want to have anything to do with the other arm of the PDP, the Secondos arm, and people from the APC who feel that they've been marginalized come together. Same of same. All right. Ifeanyi says, he's talking about the Lekki toll increase. Alaolu says, good morning, Uncle Jimmy and Bukola. You need to visit Nigerian prisons. They are like hell holes. And Gbadigeshi, this OBJ's third force is his own third term comeback through the back door. I call this a rape on democracy and modern day coup against democracy. Will it work? Vox Pop here. Our varsity authorities' right to prescribe dress codes for students. Such prescriptions is unfortunate and it exposes the limited capacity that some private universities have to deal with the exigencies of the education system. And this is coming from Malachi Ugumadu, President Committee for Defense Human Rights. And more. Yeah,
you know Malachi, don't you? He's a lawyer. Now, what the Vox Pop is trying to look at here is our university authorities' right to prescribe dress code for students, especially the private universities. Even in some of them, as a university undergraduate, you are not even allowed to carry a mobile phone. I believe that I align myself with Malachi's argument that, look, ideally, a university student is supposed to be a full-grown adult. But what have we done? What we have done is, in a bit, I don't know how all this came about, but for image purposes, parents and so on, rush their children to school. And at the age of 15, you find students in university. They are just not ripe enough to be undergraduates, as far as I'm concerned. And that's why you have stories about cultists and so on and so forth. We are putting babies up in the universities. How you would, for example, have a university in 2018 where you won't allow an undergraduate as much as have a mobile phone. A university student ideally should be a full-grown adult. University academics take maybe 60% of what you're doing in university is academic. The other 40% is mental development. There you're allowed to make mistakes. You see what life is all about. You make mistakes before you go out into the real world. Let's see what other people are saying here. Malachi says that such prescription is unfortunate and it exposes the limited capacity that some private universities have to deal with the exigencies of the education system. One, if you want to be charitable to the universities, you can rationalize such dress codes by saying that they have to do with morals, character, and principles which the university wants to still instill. However, you cannot be dealing with adults and be applying juvenile principles. It will either boomerang or be counterproductive. Chief Rashidat Oladimeji, who is the registrar of Hikma University Law in Kwara State, says the need to ensure decent dressing and good moral behavior and lifestyle cannot be overemphasized. University authorities are acting within their rights to prescribe dress code for students. Mrs. M. Offiong, Calabar-based public affairs commentator, says, I don't think it is right to prescribe dress code for students in higher institutions because, in my opinion, the students are adults in the first instance. At this point of their lives as young adults, they are expected to be responsible for their actions. But what if they are not responsible? But surely, even as adults, you do have a dress code. You have a dress code going to work. You have a dress code going to church. But then we've seen some adults who don't know how to dress in certain places. Right.
You want to take the next?
No, I just
Akube Daniel says, good morning. Let's take the threat in Taraba seriously. Enough of these killings in this new year. Silver Steve Obiako says they have turned universities to glorified secondary schools. That is why their graduates can't defend themselves. Feko Bab says, all I can say is that well-meaning Nigerians should go out and get their PVC. Let's take a break and we'll be right back.
So, what did you do when you got your first bike?
I rode into all my friends' houses in one day.
When you got your first sunglasses?
Whoa, I was so excited I wore it even at night.
And your first wristwatch?
Awesome! I swam with it and wore it to sleep every night for 7 good days.
And now that you're in secondary school, what will you do when you get your first smartphone?
Yay! The whole world will hear me scream.
This season, surprise your child with an MTN smartphone for as low as 13,000 Naira with a 3-month data bonus offer. Available at all designated MTN stores nationwide.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
You're tuned in to the Front Page News on Classic FM 97.3.
So front page news and analysis on Classic FM 97.3, and this next editorial is Customs Abuse of Firearms. The faint hope that the Nigerian Customs Service will turn over a new leaf after an outsider was appointed as the head of the agency in 2015 is steadily fading. Although under the incumbent Comptroller General Hamid Ali, revenue generation has appreciated, yet also have impunity and brutality by the officers worsened.
The customs are in the news again. This is an editorial by The Punch. And they're talking about the customs abuse of firearms. And they refer to 2 incidents that happened recently. It says here, the 2 incidents which occurred in Lagos and Ogun States are familiarly gory. In pursuit of rice and used car smugglers, customs operatives shot a bus conductor dead on a bus in Abule Egba, Lagos, early in the morning of January 17. The operatives reportedly fired arbitrarily, not minding that they were in the midst of people. In the second episode, about 24 hours on, and a few kilometers from Lagos in Iyana Yesi, Ogun State, an 8-month pregnant Bukola Oluguno was shot by customs men from the Federal Operations Unit Ikeja, who were chasing car smugglers. She was on her way to work. Instead, she found herself in the hospital fighting for survival. And the Punch makes a referral to the fact that while the United States Customs and Border Patrol operations are restricted to the 160-kilometer zone to check goods, customs operations in Nigeria reach practically every nook and cranny of the country. NCS checkpoints are noticeable on the highways. They seize vehicles at these checkpoints, although the vehicles escaped their scrutiny in the first place at the borders, and so on and so forth. Anyway, what the Punch concludes is that, because I need to, I will soon go on break now. what the report concludes is they say to gain a measure of efficiency, the World Bank recommends friendly reforms. This entails modern clearing systems that will entrench swift operations and detection of illicit cargoes, and training a crop of upright or scrupulous officers in charge of key operations at the entry points. So if you want, you can read the full editorial in the Punch. I think it's on page 18 of the Punch. You can.
John Doe says we should find a balance between giving university students a dress code and having an overbearing influence of their lifestyles. And this other one shows a photograph of some universities of 300 level students being punished here. And Sylvester Steve Obiaka says, even with the governor raising an alarm that an attack will still happen, that's how porous we are in security. In LASU, there is a dress code to dress well and no eye-popping dress up, and the students comply. This is coming from Badikeshi. Here is the Metro News.
Okay, we have the Metro News here. And this is the Punch. Right. Lekki toll increase, residents kick and groan in gridlock. Assassins kill businessmen, dump cops in car. Lagos residents jailed for illegal dumping of refuse. Chemist accused of molesting 8-year-old pays 150,000 naira to settle case. Now, this is an interesting story. And the story is about a chemist in Otocha, Anambra State, identified as Onwe Buka, who defiled an 8-year-old. But on agreeing with the parents of the girl, he agreed to give them 200,000, to pay them 200,000. He paid 150 out of it. The police, according to this story, have said he should be settled out of court. And I say, no. He has committed a crime. He must have his day in court, whether he's giving the family 200,000 naira or not. We must insist that, he has his day in court. Pastor's death. Court remands killer driver in prison. And this one is not looking good at all. Man caught with human skull in Ogun. And this is a very interesting story. I'd like everybody to listen carefully. The Lagos State government on Thursday inaugurated 4 special courts solely for the prosecution of sexual offenses and corruption cases. Solely for the prosecution of sexual offenses and corruption cases. And Ambode tells monarchs to ensure peace. Let's go to the Vanguard. Now, this one here. Motorist commuters groan as mixed reactions trail the Lekki toll hike. My contention with the Lekki toll hike is, look, according to the company, the last time, the last charges that you had were introduced in 2011. That gives you about 6 years that you've been paying the same amount, and they're using that to justify the increase. Maybe not. But what they should have done is, one, there should have been much more publicity ahead of that increase to sensitize people. Secondly, they should have made sure that the government had the alternate road properly. Because the problem now is that the alternate road is bad, almost completely knocked out, so you are forced to use the toll gate. I sympathize with them, to be honest with you, as a business concern. 2011, with all the exchange rate and whatever, inflation and so on and so forth, and they have foreign debts to settle. You can't be having the same charges from 2011 up to 2018 and not expect a change. But I don't think it was well thought out and well planned out. And that is what is causing the rift here. But the National Union of Road Transport Workers have assured people that the transport fares will not go up. I think they've reached some accommodation with them. And other news here is restructuring. Jonathan Dixon Ijo leaders urge sincere implementation of APC report, and 8,000 dump APC for PDP in Edo. Yeah, so that's
You have this.
Yes.
I have 5 minutes more.
I have just 5 minutes more. Okay, for our Muslim brothers, let me quickly review what's on the page today. A page that I tend to follow. Facing the Kaaba, Arun I Balogun. And it talks about the Unilag Muslim Committee honors former VC. World Hijab Day, MMPM calls for tolerance and understanding, and Southeast Muslims praise Buhari on appointments. This is interesting. Let me read this. The Southeast Muslims of Nigeria have commended President Muhammadu Buhari for appointing Christians of the North into positions of trust, adding that the appointment of Boss Gida Mustafa from Adawa as the Secretary to the Government of Federation and Edward Lametek Adamu from Gombe prove that he belongs to all Nigerians. I think this is just a political statement, if you ask me. Now, also here, today's Friday, if you're looking for a Muslim life partner, let me read some partners that are available. You have a 25-year-old female Muslim master's degree holder based in Osun State searching for a man with the fear of Allah, working and ready for marriage. There's another one here. A Muslim male is 45, 6 feet, working in Lagos, is seeking a Muslim lady as second wife from Southwest Nigeria, and the lady must be between 30 and 35 years. How does a man cope with two wives, Buki? Do you have any idea?
He might have his way of dealing with them.
How does a woman cope with being a second wife? Women and their jealousies.
I don't know.
Would you be a second wife to anybody?
It's almost time.
It's almost time. All right, I think our time is virtually up, so we need to get out of here.
One Monday morning, all on a free readers association, when I shift to one side, I beg. You don't go buy paper, you don't go one let people go buy zero.
I don't tell you. You don't see him.
Bonus for life, man.
Oh boy. Hey, stop. I said stop. Go back that page. MTN 2,000% bonus.
Wow. Sure, you're not wrong.
2,000% bonus if I begin use my MTN SIM again.
Oh boy.
Come on for road.
Yes, so if you never use your MTN SIM for the past 45 days or more, the time don't reach to come back again and enjoy Obonge Awoof. Just go recharge your SIM now and enjoy 2,000% bonus on top your first recharge of every month. Now, be say, if you recharge 100 naira, MTN go summer you 2,000 naira fiam. Oh yeah, Abi, you still the wait? Everybody don't go reactivate their MTN SIM. What do you still the wait for? Terms and conditions, they shall.
And that's it on the Front Page News on Classic FM 97.3. Stay tuned.